Some teams even have one guy whose only job is to sit in the back and make sure they don't miss lethal or miss something
That's
incredibly obvious.
That's the rank 14 dude.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
Twitch
man.
chat.
He is. Yeah, that is the Twitch chat guy. All right, Druid versus Druid is the first match of the day. University of Texas Austin versus Texas A&M.
Yeah, I like how they're set up pretty comfortable. 3 dudes on a couch for everyone.
Yeah, and both players starting off with some ramp here. Innervate Shade from UT Austin into Wild Growth, but Texas A&M has a lot of options. I like their hand a lot better because they have ramp into Ancient of Lore. Just allow them to refill that hand.
Yeah, the big difference is Texas A&M right now has the ramp and the card draw and the minion density, where swipe in the early Druid Mirror generally isn't good. You're trading 4 mana and 1 card. It's not really dealing with any any 4-drop. It doesn't kill a Shredder, for example. At least not evenly. So if you're swiping a 2-drop, you come out slightly behind. A lot of decisions for Texas A&M here. You definitely have to start thinking about your mana curve. You can't rely on the Aspirant surviving here, and you can't really rely on the Aspirant surviving until the Ancient of Lore, so I think they want to find a way just to work out how to get out the Ancient of Lore as soon as possible.
Yeah, looks like they're just going to go ahead and get as much power on the board as possible, as quickly as possible, and coin Innervate out the Shredder. So they do curve into those ramp spells, but that Ancient of Lore is going to be a long ways away.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine. They have Wild Growth next turn into Darnassus and maybe Hero Power. Maybe Shade is getting out of control the other way, so...
Yeah, the Powder Shredder will contest the Shade.
Quick move here. I would like to see Texas A&M think about that a lot more, just because I do think there's a lot of intricacies for this turn. I wouldn't really mind the Darnassus Aspirant, just because you're not really, even though it's dying when you play it to the Shade perhaps, you're not really gaining anything by playing the Aspirant this turn instead of last turn. So this turn they're going to play anyways, so I feel like they should have just went ahead and played the early minion first and then played the Wild Growth. You're not really losing anything, I feel, from that play. It's not like turn 4 there's a super hard counter to this anyways, so...
Yeah, like say they had drawn a Powder Shredder this turn, it would have been a long time before they were able to play Darnassus Aspirant, not playing it last turn. But...
Yeah, you just generally want to just develop your minions early, so...
Yeah. UT Austin definitely going to need some threats here.
That's a really good minion that came out of Shredder. Definitely way above average. Hunter Creeper is one of the better, or even... one of the best 2-drops. Sylvanas is going to be a big game changer going to here, just because it's very hard to deal with Sylvanas as a Druid.
Yeah, you need
Druid has a lot of big minions, right? So there's not a great way for them to steal anything.
Emperor Thor's hand drawn for Texas A&M. That's going to be pretty good. And Keeper is drawn, so that's going to be a good tool to use against the Sylvanas. But using, 5/5 body still can be tough to deal with as well. So you can silence it, but you still have to deal with the body eventually.
Yeah. I like UT Austin's decision to attack Unstealth the Shade that turn. On turn 5 there's a lot of minions, so not a lot of, say, swipe coming out this turn. And also they would need to definitely remove the Aspirant before turn 7, since you really don't want to give your opponent a Dr. Boom or an Ancient of Lore easily, so...
Emperor Thorsan for Texas A&M. It's going to hit a lot of pretty good targets once they play it. Force of Nature being a big one. Even if you just reduce Force of Nature, that opens up an opportunity where you can play later on in the game Force of Nature, Savage Roar, plus be able to fit in a Hero Power without having an Innervate.
Yeah.
So sometimes that 1 damage can make a big difference. And if it ticks twice, then some crazy things can happen later on in the game.
Yeah. Looking at this matchup, it's like big picture-wise, this matchup is mostly about board control early, since combo, especially Savage Roar and Force of Nature, can do so much damage. It really snowballs out of control if anyone has a board. So, and also another thing is Druids don't punish a player a lot, since they don't snowball from the board as often. Like, there's not cards like Abusive Sergeant and Druid or Defender Vargas, so oftentimes it becomes like a face race where both players are just pushing for face damage into the combo. We start seeing it happen here, where UT Austin decides not to trade for the Azure Drake and just get that 6 damage in. 6 damage closer to that combo range. So
Yeah, and eventually one player realizes that they're not going to win the race, and so they have to start playing defensively. But it's really hard for Druids to come back when they're behind on the board, like when they fall behind on the board, because they don't have really great spot removal. You talked about how swipe is not really that great, especially in early turns against Druid, because it's such an expensive removal tool that doesn't really deal with large creatures well.
yeah, that's an interesting turn to leave up Azure Drake, because when you're dropping Sylvanas, you're mostly scared of the Keeper there against Sylvanas. So if the other player plays Keeper, they're not likely to also have a swipe in the same turn.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little trick that they can do. Also, the Shade was a 6/4, not a 7 attack, so not scared of Big Game Hunter there either.
Yeah.
Nice little 6 free face damage that they got in kind of for it.
Yeah. UT Austin is drawing into some cycle creatures here, so they're going to be able to dig for that Force of Nature. Texas A&M pretty healthy at 23, but with that Shade still stealth, the second Shade at a 4/4, with that growing, it's only a matter of time before UT Austin is going to have lethal damage, even with just that creature on the board.
Yeah, ultimately I feel like UT Austin is pretty far ahead on board. If Texas A&M can stabilize the board, they do have technically the better late game with the Ancient of Lore and the Emperor already in their hand, but UT Austin is very unlikely to lose board control. As you said, Druid has a very hard time coming back, and also UT Austin does also have the Azure Drake, so they're not even running out of cards either themselves for quite a bit. A nice Force of Nature turn here. You usually do want to save for the combo here, but I mean, Texas A&M recognizes their position in the game. They're trying to go for a value game and just stabilize the board. Sometimes you just have to take those plays where you prevent yourself from dying. So,
yeah. UT Austin drawing into the second Savage Roar, so even without the Force of Nature, that can be a lot of damage.
That's representing 12 damage from 2 minions, both Savage Roars, which is lethal with, let's see, that's 12, 13 plus 6, 19 damage. That's exactly lethal.
Yeah.
If Texas A&M plays an Ancient Allure for the draw, or say Emperor, they die. Looking at this position for A&M, I find it pretty hard because you can't use your mana very efficiently if you play your Druid of the Claw here. So I feel like it's a hard decision because Texas A&M has to recognize that they're almost dead, but they also recognize that they need to make the strongest move to make a comeback on board. So, it's a hard call to just play the Druid of the Claw, which is not really your strongest move. Probably the strongest move would be Emperor here.
If you look at it from their point of view, the only way that they can play around Force of Nature Saboteur, like the full combo, is by playing Druid of the Claw.
Well, with Force of Nature Saboteur, I think they would be dead anyways. Not sure. But yeah, I think you're right, actually.
Well, they could Druid of the Claw and Hero Power, and they'd be one off, I think.
Yeah, with the Force of Nature.
Yeah, but this actually doesn't even put them out of range of it. Because they would have 24 damage, I believe, of Force of Nature Saboteur. So this doesn't even play around it. But what it does play around is double Saboteur. So I guess just playing it safe there. Ancient of Lore is still a big body, so...
Yeah, definitely. This healing is saving them from lethal. UT Austin has just a nice, easy, pretty clean move here. Dr. Boom, Hero Power, down the Ancient Allure.
Yeah.
Good thing is they're still not in range of the combo from the other side. Hero Power put them at 21 after trading into the Ancient Allure. You can also just leave the Allure up and go face. I don't think it would be wrong, since as long as you're realistically not dying a combo, I think, that is what UT Austin decides to do. Just leave up the Ancient Allure and face.
Yeah, and they put a lot of creatures on the board too, so Savage Roar becomes even more effective, and I don't really see a way that Texas A&M is going to defend against this. They only have 9 mana, so they can't even play like double 5-drop.
Spell Power Swipe, but I don't think that even does it.
Yeah, they could take off, the Azure Drake and the Boom Bots and the Shade of Naxxramas, but they still leave up. I guess they could take out the Dr. Boom, but depending on where the Boom Bots hit, that'd still probably be enough damage.
Yeah. They needed the swipe. Without the swipe, almost no chance here. So they did go for the Azure Drake draw into swipe, didn't get it. This Wrath, I don't think has any potential. I mean, if you cycle into swipe, you can't play. If you cycle into Innervate, you don't have a swipe.
Yeah.
I don't see any way they can survive, so.
They can't even Yeah, there's nothing they could do. It looks like they are going to try and take off the Azure Drake and maybe trade into something and hope that UT Austin has no damage.
Yeah.
Because just the damage represented on the board wouldn't kill them, but...
Yeah, from their perspective, they're not technically dead, but they have to have a pretty good idea of what's happening here.
Yeah, 11 damage on board. All they need is a Savage Roar to end the game. We'll see where this Boombot goes. Not that it matters, and it does go phase for 4. Ouch.
Technically the best result.
Yeah. All right, well, looks like UT Austin with their Druid deck are going to go up to a 1-0 lead in the series. Taking out the mirror matchup, that has to feel good. And it looks like they have their mascot there, of course, Texas.
Well,
They are the
it's
Longhorns.
Bevo, the Longhorn.
Bevo, yeah.